Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 191 of Verbal Graffiti with your host, Brian Glass, a.k.a. the B-Man, the People's Degenerate. What does it feel like to receive a cream pie? Have you ever thought about that? Because I have, and I'm pretty confident I think about what a cream pie might feel like more so than the average John, NPC, normie, cheese doodle among us. It's one of the cruelties of life. No, I probably wouldn't enjoy receiving a cream pie because I don't have a sniz. I don't have a vagina. So I make that proclamation, that assertion, because whenever I've dribbled, I hawk my dick loogie, and it gets on my inner thigh because I don't shoot my loads very far. So sometimes it just goes straight down, and it gets stuck on my hair, the inner thigh. It's uncomfortable. It gets sticky, and you gotta kind of scratch it away, and get a little hot towel and wipe it down and away because it's dry cum. It's not comfortable on the skin. I don't, but the vagina is different. It's wet, it's moist. The cum doesn't immediately dry inside of your sniz. So I'm assuming the babes enjoy the cream pie, the feeling of a cream pie. I do know they complained about the cleanup post cream pie, but as a guy, I enjoy giving a cream pie. But again, I'm a guy, so I'll never know what it's like to receive a cream pie. Now, yes, you go the gay way and the anal route, but that's a different. That's not cream pie. I'm not sure what that is, but I don't want it. And I'm not. If you do like that, good for you. If you go the gay way, but that's one of the cruelties of life. Is I'm not a female, so I'll never know what it feels like to receive a cream pie. Only to give. I'll never know. Yeah, I can read all the books I want. I can read all the smut novels. I can ask all the women in my life. I could go on Reddit and I could ask all you viewers of Verbal Graffiti, the babe viewers, of which there are many of you out there. And thank you for watching and listening to Verbal Graffiti. I could ask you, like, what does it feel like? And you can describe it in great detail. You can paint the picture, you can use all the adjectives you want, all the analogies, and you can actually write a pretty good essay or describe to me where I could kind of know what it might feel like, but I'll never know. And that's not your fault for not being able to explain it, and it's not my fault. Because you're a baby, possibly, if you've received a cream pie, but I don't know. And I'll never know. And that's what makes life cruel. I would like to know what it feels like to receive a cream pie. And I have to accept the fact that I'll never know. I think sometimes babes get too much shit for liking astrology and buying crystals. That's a babe activity. I went online, or I went to this store in Rhode Island or along the coast, and I bought crystals for $150. Most gentlemen, most Johns, we don't do that. But again, we don't have a uterus. So there's no reason for us to buy crystals. I'll never blame, I'll never poke fun at a babe for being into astrology or buying crystals or doing some type of voodoo science that they believe in, because again, they create life, and that's morbid, that's magical, it's powerful. That's kind of what more so than the cream pie. I am a little jealous that I will never get to give birth. Birth is on my mind. Last episode, we talked about birth control, or anti-birth control, or hormonal birth control, that is, here at Verbal Graffiti. Even though we are pro cream pie, those don't really jive together. But I hear so many babes especially on the internet, complain about having to give birth and how it fucks up their body and their hormones, and they basically have to give up a year of their life and not be able to drink or smoke cigarettes or do hard drugs. But you get to give birth, and that's pretty rad. That's pretty. That's a drug. That is a hard drug that I'll never know how that changes your mind. Like having a baby inside of you, growing, knowing that baby is reliant on you and your tits and your nutrients. If I could only imagine, right? Because I'll never know. I'm not a female. I'm not going to get pregnant. But to be walking around when you're pregnant, and even though your feet hurt and you're swelling and you're a fat whale and you're disgusting and you're heavy and you're snoring at night and you're eating pickles and none of your clothes fit because every 2 weeks you're a bigger size. But there's got to be, besides, when you get past that and all the stretch marks and knowing that your vagina is just going to be torn apart and it's not going to be that cute little sniz you had pre-childbirth, well, when you get past all that, it's pretty magical. Or I imagine it's got to be pretty magical to have a baby inside, a human being that's growing inside of you, and knowing that you are the creator of life. You're changing the species. It's because of you that we have a species, and the species carries on. But in your little way, that little baby that you create from your egg and some John sperm, and it comes out of you. But for 9 months, maybe a little longer, it's inside of you, and that's got to be powerful, right? And a mind fuck too. But sometimes having a lot of power fucks your mind. So I don't besmirch you for being fucked in the head when you're pregnant, because you're protecting life. And it's not, wow, childbirth, Brian, big deal. Big deal. You figured that out 41 years old, but it is, what I'm talking about is just, I'll never know what that's like. And when I hear so many babes on the internet and in real life talk about never wanting to get pregnant and bitching on about how it changed their body and their tits sag and their skin isn't soft and the elasticity of their skin goes away after they give birth. And I get all that. I can fuck with that. And I can't empathize because I don't have that, but I could sympathize with you if that's the correct adjective. But you got to give birth. Like that is the most powerful thing on earth. So of course you're gonna, I don't know, when you give birth, you must feel like a little closer to nature, the mother nature. So of course you're gonna look up at the stars and think there's some meaning to them with the astrology, the makeup, and the crystals from the earth. Like of course, you go together with the crystals and the stars. For John, to look at what sign are you? Oh, you're an Aries or an Aries or whatever, or you're a Cancer. That you're a weirdo. You're off the grid if you're doing that as a guy, but as a babe, you should be, because that little stomach by the way, it took me a while to realize that the baby is not in the stomach; it is in the uterus. But again, they're close to each other, so you can't blame me for not knowing the difference between the stomach and the uterus until, I don't know, whatever age, 30 maybe, I don't know. But the power and the responsibility of giving birth, of being pregnant, it's pretty rad. It's the most rad thing humans do. And I'll never get to experience that. And it confuses me why I don't hear more babes talking about or pumping up being pregnant and how awesome that is and how it changes you. I mean, it's got to change you, and how like I would brag to people. That's what's confusing me. The babes should be bragging about the ability to get pregnant than bitching about it. How I hear more bitching than bragging about the pregnancy, about being able to give birth. I feel as well, maybe I'm just a weirdo. Maybe I'm not a normie NPC. I feel it should be reversed. You should be bragging about the ability to get pregnant and keep the species going more so than bitching about it. But I'm asking poignant questions now. That's what the B-Man does. No more how's your day doing. I went out to do stand-up. Couple nights ago, I was later in the lineup, so I got to the venue a little late. I went up to a female comic that I know, and we're friendly. I would say we're friends. We're cordial. And before I said hi, I just go, do you enjoy being double penetrated? First question I asked her. Before I said hello, and she was taking it. She said, whoa, Brian, what the fuck are you? What kind of question is that? And I'm curious. Like, that's something I'm curious about now as well. Is like how many women actually how many babes enjoy being DP'd? I'm going to start asking more of the babes I come in contact with, just not actual contact, but we're together at a venue. I'm just going to start asking, like, do you enjoy? Because as a guy, how many women in your life that you haven't been intimate with have you asked that question to? Do you enjoy being DP'd? It's funny. I don't actually think it's an invasive question. I think the invasive question is, have you ever been double penetrated? Well, what I ask is, do you enjoy being double penetrated? I do believe there is a significant difference between the two. Because the first question, have you ever been double penetrated? That's a personalized question. Like, I'm asking you if you've ever done DP. But if I ask you, do you enjoy double penetration? I'm not asking if you've done it or when you did it. I'm just making the assumption that you have done it. And when I say double pen, I mean two penises. I don't mean like a dildo and one penis. I mean, when I say DP, double penetration, the B-Man's talking about two penises inside you, the A-hole and the V-hole at the same time. But I'm going to start asking, because these are the types of things I'm curious about. And I don't care about how was your day? How's your comedy going? What are you doing for Christmas? I want to know the real deal. And honestly, I don't judge you either way. And honestly, again, I'll never know about being pregnant and the uterus and all that and what a cream pie feels like. But I got to imagine if I did have a vagina, I'm guessing I would not enjoy DP. It would make me feel bloated. I make that guess because I don't like IPAs. The beers. I drink one IPA, I get bloated. I feel slow. I don't digest it very well because it's a very thick drink, with a lot of alcohol content. So if I can't handle an IPA, if I had a vagina, I'm guessing two penises in me at the same time would make me feel bloated. And I wouldn't feel sexy being DP'd. So that's how my mind works. Like, well, I don't like an IPA. That makes me feel bloated. Two dicks, same thing. So I wouldn't feel sexy being double penetrated. But again, I mean, obviously I spent time on the internet. I knew there are some babes out there who enjoy the DP. And I'm guessing the percentage is higher than what you might imagine. Same thing with being gangbanged. I think there are a lot of babes. I put the percentage 20%, 35% of babes would like to get gangbanged or trained on if there weren't any social consequences from it. We care about our image. 2025, you care about your image. That's probably what's preventing a lot of babes from trying a train or a gangbang or DP or enough. Okay, enough. B-Man, you're never going to get pregnant. You're never going to get cream pie. You're never going to get DP'd. So why don't we just go to Reddit and see what this is all about? All right, I found this from the subreddit Serial killers. Yes, my mic is on. Yoo Young-Chul, the raincoat killer. Okay. Yoo Young-Chul was a South Korean serial killer and a sex offender who killed sex workers and wealthy old couples. He was active from 2003 to 2004 and killed approximately 20 people. I was not one of them because I'm still here. For 1 year, he terrorized South Korea, Seoul, by brutally killing old people and sex workers. He was also a self-confessed cannibal, but was never proven by the court of law. He often called the sex workers to his Seoul apartment, performed sexual acts, then brutally kill, dismember, and mutilate the body to prevent IDing. After the act, he'd mop up the bathroom clean, take the remains down to his car, and take them to the mountains that surrounded the city and buried them. His motives are one of two ideas put forth by the police: hatred for women because of rejection, and rejection by love interest who had a similar job. He was arrested in 2004 by the Seoul police, and during interrogation, he confessed to 19 murders, but the police believed he killed many more. Now, I did not do any more research on the raincoat killer other than what I read just there. Again, I make everything about me. Maybe I am a narcissist. I don't have the makeup, mental or physically, to be a serial killer. I drive the speed limit. The B-Man drives 55 miles per hour, if that is the speed limit, because I am afraid of getting pulled over and getting a ticket or a warning or possibly arrested. Now, when you have a fear of being pulled over by the police, you're not going to become a serial killer. Those two things don't go together. Also, I love to spoon. And spooning and serial killing do not go hand in hand. Therefore, I'm never going to be a serial killer because I love to spoon. Right? So when we got that out of the way, the B-Man, I'm not a serial killer. So just wanted to get that out of the way, especially with that opening. You might have thought, well, the B-Man, you're a bit kooky in the head. You got some serial killer energy too. I do not. I don't even. I've never even read any. Okay, get to the fucking point, B-Man. Get to the point. This is a big win for homeowners. Notice how he had an apartment. Now, yes, if you own a home, your neighbor or the person who has a house across the street from you very well may be a serial killer. But at least there's more than a thin piece of drywall separating you from the serial killer. At least there's a fence and a little bit of land. That's why that's a check. That's a win. That's a win for the homeowners. Because if you, that's the question I have: is how did the neighbors, the people with the neighboring apartments, not know that there was any killing going on in your neighbor's apartment complex? Like, how do you not? Right? Nobody asked the management of the hotel or the landlord, hey, this weirdo, this weird-looking guy, every weekend he has a prostitute with 6-inch stilettos going to his apartment. And then 45 minutes later, we hear a lot of screaming and yelling and please don't kill me and a chainsaw. And every week this is happening with a different prostitute. And we never see her leave the next morning. I just, is that just me? I gotta think. If you're living in an apartment and the person next to you is a serial killer with he's dismembering bodies, you're going to smell it. You're going to hear the murder taking place. There are going to be some telltale signs that maybe I should contact authorities and or find a relative to live with because I do not want to be in this apartment. But again, maybe this serial killer, the raincoat killer, duct taped their mouths so they couldn't scream when he was dismembering the body. Like serial killers are internally in debt to duct tape. They have to be very thankful that duct tape is a thing. That's probably helped countless serial killers from getting caught is because of duct tape. So that's a big win. It's a big win for homeowners. I'm confused as to how your neighbors didn't sense that something was awry with the neighbor who was killing all these prostitutes. And the other big takeaway I have, are there any sex workers? And let's be frank, these are whores. These are prostitutes. A sex worker, it's too soft of a term. If I'm paying you for sex, you're a whore. And I like that. Again, we're here. We don't use the word whore as a slur. We say it, we acknowledge what you are. You're a whore, and I love it. That's why you're here. I want to ask, so are there any whores or prostitutes that the raincoat serial killer did not kill? That's what I'm curious about the most. Out of all the things with this guy and his murders, are there any prostitutes that he didn't kill? Because I'm thinking about me, and if I was in his situation as a serial killer, if I had a whore or a prostitute that rocked my world, or she had my toes curling, I was making sounds I've never made before, she was giving me a prostate gasm, she took all the energy from me, she just gave me the sexual experience of my life. If that whore did that to me, I don't think I'd kill her right after the act. Hey, that's a prostitute. That's a whore that the B-man would like to keep alive and pay for her services a few more times before I mutilate her body. So I'm saying this to say, if there were any sex workers, whores, prostitutes that were with the raincoat serial killer that are still alive, they can look back at their experience with the raincoat killer and know that they're one of the best of the best prostitutes in South Korea. And so for them, a tip of my penis. You're a lady worth the G-string she's wearing. Good for you and your service. So I gotta imagine that the whores, the prostitutes he was murdering were just run-of-the-mill. Here's my money. Nothing special. Just, are you almost done yet? They probably didn't even make eye contact with him. It didn't call him by his name. No dirty talk. It probably made him wear a condom. Yeah, just a run-of-the-mill whore. Those are the ones who got killed. But again, I don't have the mind of a serial killer. I love the spoon. But it does seem to me, yeah, if I'm a serial killer who kills whores, prostitutes, and I pay for your services, you come to my apartment and you give me a ho-hum, forgettable experience, your head is going in my freezer. And we're climbing up the mountains with your body, hiding your body parts all over so the authorities can't find you and or identify you. But the ones who fuck, the ones who dig, the ones who had the sniz that's worth the price, I'm just guessing. Those ones are still alive. And probably 2003, they're probably hung up their G-string and are probably moved on from the sex game. But because he only killed 20 that he confessed of. And if this is your calling card is old people and sex workers, he's probably gotten, before he got caught, he probably was with many more than 20 whores, prostitutes, ladies of the night. So there are probably a lot of prostitutes out there who he didn't murder. Again, I'm not condoning what he did. All right? No whore prostitute deserves to get murdered, dismembered, disfigured, mutilated, so they can't be ID'd. No one deserves that, even if your performance is lackluster. I'm just saying, not every prostitute was killed. There's probably a reason why. I do think about where I would dispose of bodies. I have woods behind my house, but it's too close, and I don't really love blood. I don't. When I have to get a needle, whatever, like blood taken from me, I look away. That's probably another telltale sign that you're not a serial killer, is when you get a needle, you'll look away because you don't want to see the blood or the needle going in you. If that makes you a little queasy, dismembering a prostitute is probably, you're not going to have the stomach for it. So, serial killers. Oh, I gotta say also, if I was going to be killed, I'd want to be killed by a serial killer. I don't want to be killed by an amateur. I want a professional to do it. That's just the B-man, though. Let's go look at something. Episode 191, segment 2. Please remember, if you want to, that is, I'm not forcing you to. We're all about consent here at Verbal Graffiti. But I would like you, if you can, if you could, if you're willing, to share an episode or a reel or a segment of Verbal Graffiti with a coworker at your holiday party this season. Because again, you're not allowed to say Christmas party. You have to say holiday party. So when you're at your holiday party, aka your Christmas party, and you're under the mistletoe, and you're about to suck face with your boss, or your subordinate, or you're just in the corner drinking eggnog, just counting down the time till you can leave without being judged for leaving too early, share an episode with a coworker of yours. Moving forward, have a profound statement, a profound thought that came to me. I don't know, maybe others have pointed this out before, but this is the first time I'm pointing this out. Nipples don't age. They don't. The two things on the body that never age are your eyes and your nipples. People talk about the eyes. No one talks about the nipples. I don't know if anyone even knows that. Can you think about it? Your nipple? It's kind of wrinkly from the day you're born, or at least post-puberty. So it's already wrinkled. So when you get wrinkly, your nipple already has dots and stuff on it. So, or dimples on it. So when you think about it, they might protrude. As a guy, maybe you get a little fatter, you get a little jigglers, and your body morphs. It changes as you get older. And I do know that. I do know that because I was filming myself for a short little film I'm making. It'll be out, I don't know. It's weather dependent. So I was filming myself in the shower. Nothing new, just in the shower. And I was editing the video or looking at the video afterwards, like, oh man, there are more grays, there's balding, the skin isn't as tight as it used to be. Maybe Father Time's going to beat me. I really thought I was going to be the one to defeat Father Time, but watching the video that I made of myself in the shower, it is clear that Father Time is winning and is probably going to continue to win. The spry young B-man, no more. He's been defeated, and now I'm getting old and crusty. So the odds of me getting with a busty young Latina again, dwindling very fast, hourglass. But again, the nipple though, my nipple my nipple looks exactly the same now as they did when I was 18. It's because nipples don't age. So I got that going for me, and you got that going for you. Yeah, maybe your boobies will sag, but the nipples, they're the same, as are your eyes. So we got those two things. Father Time seems not to care about. All right, moving forward. That's very profound. I don't know if anyone's ever made that statement before. Nipples don't age. And it's true. All right, this next one, it's a story. Let's see what this is all about. Embarrassing, it's a subreddit, embarrassing moments. My volunteer mom at school fair. Yes, my mic is on. When I was in middle school, my mom was volunteering for the school fair. She was picked up to be the lady for the dunk tank. She was wearing a modest one-piece swimsuit. After the fair, she went to an empty classroom to change. She slid out of her swimsuit, and when going to get her clothes, the door started opening, so she hid in a closet. It was a janitor, and he cleaned the room, then collected her clothes, not knowing she was naked in the closet. He then left. It was around 8 p.m. She was screwed. She ended up sneaking out of the classroom through the school completely naked. We did live in a neighborhood right across the street from the school. She made a dash through the parking lot, then saw a car pull into the lot. She panicked, ran past them to our neighborhood. She dashed across the street to our neighborhood to avoid the car, but she forgot that our street was having a block party. The neighborhood was lit up. There was stands, food, drinks, and a bounce house. My mom is a professional attorney, not known for being wild. Everyone in the neighborhood was shocked. She just froze in the middle, covered her arms. Then a kid walked behind her, slapped her butt, causing her hands to shoot behind her. She then just crouched into a ball. She then awkwardly dashed to our house. I was in the living room with friends playing video games. She ran in. I just went, "Mom!" She screamed and ran past upstairs. She was so mortified, she never wanted to leave the house again. Again, where's the B-man when all this goes down? I'm always a block over, missing a naked mom, running across the street naked. The torture of my life. You might want to get your DNA tested. I'm not positive, nor should you be, that that your father is your father, biological father, that is. Because, are we sure? Are we positive your mom, the attorney, was not having an affair with the janitor? I mean, I need to pose a question because your mom is an attorney, and the job of an attorney is to be a liar for a hefty fee. So your mom is a professional liar. And if she's at the school fair, there's plenty of classrooms. And the janitor just happened at 8 p.m. to walk into the classroom where your mom was getting all naked and changing back into her clothing from her one-piece bathing suit. I question whether the two of them were not having a dalliance at that point. But then again, why would he steal her clothing? Or not steal it, but take it from the classroom? I don't know. I find it peculiar that the janitor took all the clothing. Because I'm sure the janitors come across clothes all the time, cleaning the school after hours, and he puts the hoodies or the winter hats or gloves or pants or jacket, whatever. He probably goes down to the principal's office, puts it in the lost and found bucket, and goes about his shift, clean another classroom or restroom or whatever. But to take the underwear and the bra of your mother, I question that. Because as a janitor, again, I'm going to be sexist and assume he's a guy. I question whether a guy janitor would take the underwear and bra left in a classroom. If that were me, I would just leave all the clothing because the last thing I would want, and again, I'm a panty sniffer, so uh, like I know it comes with the territory, but I'm above age panty sniffer. So if I was a janitor and I was at some middle schools, like seventh grade, and I was cleaning a classroom, and then there were some clothes on the desk, and you know I'm like, all right, let me put this in the lost and found. But then I start picking up the clothes. Oh shit, there's underwear, there's a bra. Like I'm a guy, that's a girl's underwear. I'm just gonna leave that there. Just hey, I don't want any accusations against myself. Again, I'm above board. I don't want any of that. If I were the janitor, so I would leave it all there. Now, if it was just a hoodie or a t-shirt, yeah, I'd take it, put it lost and found. But the undergarments, where I start to question what was going on between between the janitor and your mom. I don't know. It's just something you should question. Get your DNA, see who your real father is. And of course, it was a janitor. Of course, it was. The janitors know everything. The year after I graduated high school, our high school janitor, who is a legend, he caught a teacher, female teacher, and a guy student fucking in a classroom after school. He was one. There were some windows. He saw it happen, and that's how the teacher got caught. Like janitors know everything. They know all the dirt. They know all the secrets. If you want to know what's going down in a school, slip the janitor a $20 and a pack of an American Spirits, because all janitors also smoke as well. When I was in high school, my buddy Cheese would pick up the janitor and drive him to school. Cheese would pick him up. They'd go to a gas station. He'd buy cigarettes for himself and for my friend Cheese, and then Cheese would drive him to the high school, because our janitor, I don't believe he had a car, so we would always see him walking to school, and Cheese would pick him up, and he knew everything. The janitors know everything. So I'm not surprised in the least bit that the janitor was the one who just happened to be in the classroom when your mother was naked. And do know that the children in that neighborhood, the boys specifically, who saw your mother playing hide and seek between the bushes and slapped her on the butt and saw her naked as her jigglers jiggled on her way to your house, do know that image, those visuals are still in their mind. They're still in the spank bank. They're grown up now. They still wink off to your mother naked on that street on that fateful evening during the block party. That is a boy's dream. When I was younger, there were some babes around the block who would sometimes sunbathe in bikinis. We were in awe of that. I could not even imagine a hot mom, a MILF, just prancing up the street naked during a summer or early spring party. Wow. Do know that all the boys in the hood are still wanking to your naked mother. Boom, 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 boom. Key takeaway that we all need to take away from this unfortunate situation with your mother, but your mother put herself in this situation, and that's the key takeaway. The key takeaway from this story, the embarrassing moment your mother went through, is never volunteer. That's my big takeaway, at least. See, if your mother had never volunteered, if your mother was a normal mother, a normal parent, like my parents, whenever there was a school fair when I was a kid, my parents would give me $10 for the Scholastic Book Fair and send me my way. They didn't volunteer for any school activities. Here's some $10. Go buy yourself a couple R.L. Stein Goosebumps books. We'll see you after school. That's how parents should act. Parents who get involved and volunteer, this is what happens. The janitor steals your clothing, and you have to run from the parking lot to your house across the street in the neighborhood over, and boys start slapping you on the ass. That's why you don't volunteer. That's why I don't volunteer. I would love to volunteer at the soup kitchen. I would. I really would. like to volunteer for the needy among us, the less fortunate among us. But I know if I volunteer at the soup kitchen and I got some tomato soup and I'm putting it in the bowl for a needy person, he might have a knife. We get into a fight. He cuts me. Some of his blood gets on me. Now I have HIV. All because I tried to be a volunteer and be an upstanding citizen, help out the less fortunate than myself. That's why I don't. Because there is a possibility. I walk into that soup kitchen healthy. I walk out with HIV. I don't want that to happen. Therefore, I don't volunteer because of that possibility. And that's why I don't feel bad for not volunteering. Because when you volunteer, only bad things happen to you. Everybody sees you naked, or maybe you get HIV. And I don't want either of those. Go suck a fat one.